On behalf of the county executive and the staff of the Office of Planning and Zoning, it's my pleasure to welcome you here this evening. I want to begin first by thanking you all for coming. The fact that you chose to spend time here this evening says a great deal about you, and I want to thank you for that. My name is Phil Hager, and I have the honor of serving the citizens of Anne Arundel County as the Planning and Zoning Officer. Thank you very much for coming this evening. I want to introduce a few folks from our Constituent Services Office, Reese Pick, Legislative Assistant for Councilwoman Lacey, Linda Harris. Lots of great folks from the Office of Planning and Zoning. Thank you for being here this evening. Our able staff that make all this possible, Kenny and Dean, thank you. And we have 3 members of the Citizens Advisory Committee here this evening, one of whom you'll be seeing a lot more of in a moment. First, Charlie Mannion, Gary Muller, and Elizabeth Rothberg. Thank you very much for your service. And at this time, we are privileged to have a video. Our County Executive, Stuart Bittman, was not able to be here with us this evening, but he has been very gracious with his time, and he has made a video for you to see this evening. Without further ado, here we are.
Welcome to the Planning Department's Small Area Visioning session. I'm sorry that I'm not there with you. I'm making it to most, but there were a few evenings that I just couldn't attend, so decided to do this little video so that I could be with you on the screen. I just want to thank you for coming, because this process that we're going through for Anne Arundel County is probably the most important thing that we do this year, maybe the most important thing that we do during my whole 4-year term. It's the 20-year General Development Plan. And a lot of you said during the campaign, and you said, you say all the time, that we want community-driven planning. And it was 17 years ago that we did the small area plans for Anne Arundel County. And you'll see, or you probably have already seen on the wall, the update that we asked for to let people know what proposals were implemented in the small area plans that your neighborhood did 17 years ago, and to let you say whether or not you think those are still important. And I know it's difficult to read all that detail on the wall, but I hope you will. It's important to know how you feel about what was said in the past, and to look at whether or not those proposals have been implemented. I also want you to know that I've been listening to what you've got to say in neighborhoods, and the General Development Plan and this small area visioning is not all that we're doing. We're looking at legislation that's going to give communities, especially when they're organized in groups, a little bit more influence and power over the process of what gets built and what gets developed in communities. So we're working on the issue of standing so that organizations can actually intervene in the hearings and play a role. We're also working on software that will allow you to go on a map and click on a site, a development site, and be able to get all the information that you want about the application and what stage it's at and how to intervene. And that's going to be very important. We're going to have a training sessions around the county on how to use that software once it's ready to roll, and that can't come too soon. We're also looking at forest conservation bill that will help make it more difficult for developers to take down trees. We're looking at the adequate public facilities laws and whether we can strengthen those for school capacity and road capacity where development takes place. And we're looking at how we do modifications that the developers ask for when their project doesn't quite fit the rules. So we're strengthening the way that we handle modifications on environmental issues in particular. So all of that we want you involved in. It's in addition to the whole General Development Plan and small area planning process, but it's really designed to sharpen the tools that we have for citizens to be engaged in the process. I want you to also know that this is not your last crack at this, that this is just a visioning session so that we do one check-in in each of the neighborhoods, ask you also about the boundaries of the neighborhood and whether you think it's appropriate, but that after the General Development Plan is approved by the County Council, we're going to start all over again and we're going to do full small area plans after the General Development Plan. So there will be general principles for the county that I hope you'll be thinking about that'll be in the General Development Plan. One of the things that was very exciting for me was about 3 weeks ago. Maybe by the time this video is done, it'll be 4 weeks. But we did a kickoff meeting, and we had about 2 weeks' notice, and 240 of you showed up, citizens, to talk about the General Development Plan. And we brought in an organization called Smart Growth America, and they did a briefing. It was past Governor Glendening who started this, where people talked not just about what we don't want in our communities, which is what a lot of us focus on, but also a vision for how Anne Arundel County can still grow while preserving open space, preserving the natural beauty of the county, and making sure that we have the infrastructure we need before we build all that other stuff. So we obviously in the county have huge traffic problems because we failed to build the infrastructure. In fact, we failed to charge developers the impact fee that would have paid for the infrastructure, especially on roads, and we're working on that. We're working on that in the budget, and we're going to create a new fund for infrastructure, and we have to catch up in Anne Arundel County. I know how frustrating it can be to be a citizen or a member of a community group that's trying to have influence over what goes on in your community, and I just want you to know that we understand that. We're doing everything that we can to make the process more user-friendly, and we don't want you to give up. You need to stay involved, so thank you. This is important. I hope you'll get engaged. I hope you have fun. I hope you all get along and all agree with each other, and I wish I was there to join you.
That's pretty impressive that we have a county executive who takes this type of time and makes a video when he can't be here to make sure that you feel that he's engaged in this process, and I can assure you that he is. It really makes my job exciting and rewarding when I know that my boss is firmly engaged in these processes and understands, and that certainly makes it easier and definitely more challenging, but in the end it makes it a lot more worthwhile. So I'm excited. I'd also be remiss if I didn't point out that the budget that was released yesterday includes 7 new staff members for our department, and that's extremely exciting. After years of neglect, we have someone who recognizes the importance of actually planning for our future, and that is something that I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. So, great days ahead. Without further ado, so we have more of an opportunity to hear from you all, I'm going to call upon Elizabeth Rosberg, who's going to be leading us in the discussion portion of tonight's event.
Thank you. Well, good evening. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to come to the middle here, if that's okay, and talk with you all because you are the residents that are here from the local area. And we want to start to hear from you. What are some, if you have at least 3 things, one from each of you, that you love about living in your hometown area here? Do you want to start?
Well, I can tell you, I'm Samuel Jordan, and I'm not a resident.
Okay.
I'm actually here from Baltimore. I'm the president of the Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition. And we are very much involved and concerned about a regional approach to the combination, the inseparability of transportation, reliable, efficient, safe, and anchored by light rail, and land use. And we think Anne Arundel County, especially with your new executive and Office of Planning now expanded, has a chance to take the lead in the region.
Great, thank you. And we agree, we definitely agree. So we appreciate you taking the time to come out this evening. And for all of you, we really appreciate it because you're making a difference. And that's what it's all about, and that's why we're here tonight. So ma'am, do you have, if you have your, say your name and what do you like about living in the BWI Linthicum area?
Lisa Crittenden, I would say the small town feel.
That's something obviously we want to preserve. Have you been here for a very long time?
No, 95.
Okay, I'm not going to do math in public, so that's good. And have family,
Yep.
kids?
Yep.
Yep.
3 kids went through all the schools.
3 kids through all the schools, that makes a big difference, so we'll go ahead. And sir, your name and what do you like about living here?
My name is Dan Rumer. I'm the Vice President of the Linthicum Shipley Improvement Association. And it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you all for coming here and having this presentation. I have to concur. It's the small town feel. I've lived here since 1980. I was born actually in Baltimore City, and I moved out here and moved into a small house, a room on the back of the house, so I could fulfill the great American tradition. I married the girl next door. So, love the community, been involved with the community, and want to see it stay as a very kind of small town feel to it. But also address some of the big issues like the improvement of the road, the infrastructure, the overcrowding of the schools, the continued encroachment of development into this community, the loss of buffer zones, green spaces, etc.
Yep, those are some challenges.
Yep.
That's definitely true. Well, thank you. We appreciate you taking time, especially in this rainy day or evening. Everybody hopefully made it up before the big rainstorm or got here safely, obviously. So, well, we appreciate your inputs. So you said a little bit about what has changed in the last 15 years. Obviously, we've had a little bit of growth. We've had some definite changes. What do you see as the number one change? I'll come back over here.
The school overcrowding.
School overcrowding?
I am.
Sir?
That's certainly one of them. Infrastructure overload and especially roads, sidewalks, et cetera, are deteriorating. And where, as a community association, we're working very hard, going after grants, et cetera. Literally producing piles of paperwork to get the monies to replace sidewalks, et cetera. But we really need the county and the state to kind of step up and fix some of the infrastructure problems that we have. Especially, as I said, the two main roads, Maple and Andover Road. The development that's going on off of West Nursery Road has really encroached and eaten up a lot of the buffer. And one of the, I actually submitted written comments also. And
Thank you.
let me tell you my experience. When I first moved here in 1980-ish or whatever, I went to a general development planning session. And I was looking at the buffer area that separates our community from West Nursery Road. And they showed some development going on there. And so I asked, I said, so this is the plan, right? Yep. What's the future? Are we going to do more of that? No, absolutely can't. It's an open space, it's owned open space, and a floodplain, we can't build on it. Okay. 10 years, or 10, 15 years, whatever later, I go back, there's more development. But, well, wait a minute, didn't we were just told that this was an open space? Well, we've worked that out and we're going to be able to do it, but we're never going to do any more. There's a bulldozer running on the other side of the woods behind my house that's tearing out the trees to put another piece of development in. So this buffer zone is disappearing. Okay, and it's one of the largest green spaces we have left in our community. So shall I say I have not very high expectations of being, that this is going to work out and hope, but I hope it will, that we can put controls on the development that enough. There's areas that should be left alone. There's the community should be protected. But the needs within the community need to be addressed and stop being ignored.
Thank
Thank you. Okay.
No, I
I'll try not to
appreciate
be
that.
any more negative for the rest of the night.
That's
okay?
great. No, we appreciate the input and the lessons learned, and we need to know what, going into the general development plan as well as afterwards, we need to make sure that whatever is determined and goes into the general development plan is actually implemented.
And we don't have an overlay come in and completely blow away the plan, and we have more
And it
development.
matters to have people involved like yourself that know and can help us make the good choices and the right decisions.
Just that one, 180 some housing units. They're talking 180 some housing units. They're talking about putting in more retail space. I'm not generally opposed to the idea of development. I'm not. But yet we're still waiting for Andover Road to be redone. It's a 2-lane road. It has so much traffic on it now that the residents who live off of White Avenue and in some of these other areas, they take almost their life in their hands trying to pull out on Andover Road. This is, there's certain times of day it's just unsafe. And that could have been dealt with years ago. That could have been addressed just like our school being overcrowded. The fees, et cetera, are not being collected, but yet the development allowed to continue. You know, looking at the school capacities, you could easily project that they were going to become overcrowded.
And that's
Well,
one of the issues
and
we've
that's
heard that
what we now
they're
see.
going to address.
Okay.
Right, right. So thank you. I appreciate that. So, and you heard the county executive saying that he's looking to address a lot of those issues.
Yes.
So we need to keep the pressure up and keep that on and follow through. Make sure. And obviously, which is fabulous, you have an organized community association.
Yes.
That's great.
It dates back to the 1970.
Wow.
It's been around for a long time.
That's great, because a lot of them don't. A lot of volunteers have given up, or they just don't have the time or the support and everything else. So I commend you for having an
One of our
organized...
past senior members.
There you go. Well, good. And a current member of the Citizens Advisory Committee, for those who are watching. So we appreciate all that. So thank you. Well, you talked about this a little bit, about what improvements you have. Good. Thank you. And what do you want your community to look like in 20 years? You want to be involved? You want the green space, I'm assuming? You want improved transportation, I'm assuming? And you want to improve schools and the capacity, I'm assuming? And what, did I miss anything? We've got infrastructure, crowding of schools, the encroachment. You want to save, we talked about open space. We talked about those different things. Did I miss anything that you want to see taken care of in 20 years?
Well, like some of these business parks that they're building, like, stay empty for 10 years or more. So why are they building them if there's not a demand for them? I don't understand.
So maybe a little bit more revitalization versus building new?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. So, did I miss anything?
I can say that there's been a number of different projects that have been proposed that we have attended presentations on. And to be honest with you, some of them we thought, and we still think, are great ideas. The redevelopment of the space at Howard Subway. Marriott has come in with a really nice proposal, putting a single-story building there. And in that discussion during their presentation, the residents that are right in the area were talking about stormwater problems, and that storm drains actually back up. And their engineer said, well, we'll get in touch with the county and we'll work together. We'll upgrade. He said, since we're going to redo everything on their land anyway, we'll just upgrade that too. We'll work with the county to upgrade that too, so we'll eliminate that problem. So that Marriott has been one of the better companies in doing development, where they actually do reach out to the community, to work with them. And because of that one conversation, they actually are going to make, they have promised they're going to work to make an improvement, which helps the community. Okay? That's what we'd like to see more of.
Right. You want
that kind of
relationship, you want that partnership,
Right.
you want that seat at the table so that you know what's going on.
Not when you have a developer come in and say, well, we're going to build this, and whether you like it or not. Well, it's going to be in these people's backyards so they can move. I mean, that was a public presentation this guy made. Yeah. He really made phenomenal friends here in the community, I'll tell you. Man. We haven't seen him since.
Well, I think it does make a big difference that if you can get that seat at the table and build that relationship and carry that through to make sure, because the development does take a long time. And so it is a commitment on your part to be part of that and to follow it. And that's one of the things that the county executive is going to do, is help it, make it easier for us as volunteers, as citizens, to be able to follow the process. I don't know how to read those plans. I would love to know. I know a little bit, but I don't know how to read those engineering plans. And that's one of the things, and to follow the modification process, to follow the approval process. We've improved the community meeting checklist. There are different things that they have to give information on now that has to be part of the process. And so the upfront open communication back and forth is a key goal, I know, of this new administration. So, did I miss anything? No? Okay, sir, well, I appreciate it. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Hagan. Thank you. And thank you all for coming this evening. He's going to say that too, but I really want to thank you for making the trip out here, especially in the rain.
Could I just say something?
I'm sorry, yes, sir.
So I represent the Jessup community, and it was very interesting to hear the comments coming from this area. And I've been involved in zoning issues and things like this in Jessup probably at least 30-some years at this point, and I can relate to everything you're saying. So you're not alone in the things that you're frustrated with, and you have a friend in Jessup.
Good to know. You have a friend here?
Again, I do want to thank you for being here this evening and for sharing your views and your thoughts. Appreciate your comments that you provided on our maps and also on our whiteboards. These are important tools that we use. This is the second of these visioning workshops that we've held. We have, how many more, Cindy? 15 more. Okay. So we're hoping that we're going to get the entire county covered and have an opportunity to have a lot of diverse comments. We have done a number of outreach meetings over the past year and a half as part of the development of this plan to this particular point. We've had an awful lot of people who have participated, who share their thoughts and their views. There is a lot of different views, there are a lot of different thoughts. There are also a lot of common themes. So without those thoughts and ideas and the input from our community, we would not be able to develop an effective plan. So that is our goal, and we want to thank you for contributing to it. Be safe. See you all soon.
Please note that there is the website on the board here.
Sorry, thank you. So please pass that on, particularly to your community association. They can fill out a survey online, and any comment or anything else, they can do that. We encourage those that were unable to join us this evening to do it online. And this will not be the only opportunity, but between now and then, please pass that information on and post it to wherever you can, your coffee groups, teacher groups, whatever. We appreciate it. Thanks.